know, all the hours we put into it. She. Well, I have letters. Never walk under a ladder. Now she's going right in front of you. Now, how do you hear? Actually, we put it on the left. Yeah, we do. Yeah. Debbie, do you need a couple places for your life? Come on, we'll put them. Yeah. I need more letters. You see this wall?
And Diane Hartless. Our senior cheerleaders include Allison Baldelli, her parents, Jean and Neil Baldelli. Nikki Costello, her parents, Ed and Marianne Costello. Holly Morgan, her parents, Barb and Jack Morgan. Tracy Testa, her parents, Joan and Lou Testa. And Joy Zarlinga with her parents, Jim and Joyce Zarlinga. Our senior football players begin with Tom Basista, one of our tri-captains, with Tom and Laura Basista. Steve Betos and his parents, Kathy and John Krivnak. Joe Boris with Charles and Claudette Boris. Jeff Brindley with his parents, Mike and Kathy Brindley. Ken Kristoff with his parents, John and Diana Kristoff. Chuck Colucci, his parents, Chuck and Karen Colucci. Chris Diffley with his parents, Jim and Paula Diffley. Bill Economist, his parents, George and Thalia Economist. Jim Hutch with his parents, Jerry and Vicki Hutch. Tri-Captain Joe Joseph with his parents, Joe and Marilyn Joseph. Rich Caceres with his parents, Sean and Judy Caceres. Tony Nez with his parents, Tony and Ellen Nez. Dale Cushman and his parents, Dale and Connie Cushman. Kevin Lasivita and his parents, Larry and Peggy Lasivita. Lance Leonard with his parents, Bill and Diane Leonard. Leon Marucci and his parents, Len and Debbie Marucci. Jeff Matisick and his parents, Rod and Terry Matisick. Ed McMurray and his parents, Joe and Barb McMurray. Ryan Despecka and his parents, Ralph and Denise Despecka. Kyle Nurmanen with his mother, Vicki Nurmanen. Sean O'Neill and his parents, Bob and Linda O'Neill. Dave Roncone, with his parents, John and Carol Roncone. Our third captain, John Ryan, with his parents, John and Mickey Ryan. Andy Schmutz and his parents, Reed and Judy Schmutz. Bob Stackhouse and his parents, Kathy and Ange DiMuccio. Jim Vivacqua and his parents, Tony and Barb Vivacqua. Troy Wilson and his parents, Ken and Rose Wilson, and his mother, Peggy Wilson. And finally, our student trainer, Michelle Solhanik, and her parents, Len and Janice Solhanik. Let's have one final large round of applause for all of the seniors in our football program. Passed away, and of course that's the reason you do not see him at the head table tonight. So before Tom comes up here, we'd like to have a moment of silence for Mr. Bourne and his family at the death of his father, and also suggest that on behalf of the banquet committee, there is a basket at the end of the head table for anyone who would like to make a donation to a gift of sympathy for Coach Bourne and his family. At this time, let us bow our heads and offer a moment of silence in their sympathy. At this time, I ask Senior Tom Bassissa to come up and offer the invocation for the banquet.
Let us bow our head in prayer. Dear Lord, we thank you for the many blessings that you have bestowed upon us here at Boardman High School. We thank you for our parents who have given us total support throughout the years, for our dedicated coaches and teachers who have made our program so successful. We thank you for allowing us to be here tonight in celebration with our family and friends, and especially for the many memories and friendships we all share and that will never be forgotten. Amen.
Before we begin our program, we're going to do one little thing, and that's, of course, eat dinner. So, since this is sort of a new facility for us in the football banquet, we've got a somewhat different arrangement. There are two buffet tables over on this side of the room, and each of them will service two lines of people going through. This table closest to the head table will begin at this end. You'll see the plates up there. And what we'd like to do is start at this side, and everyone down to the center of the room. And this front half, we'll start with all the girls over there from the Booster Club and the head table, and of course our seniors. We'd like you to sort of serpentine down the banquet committee. I would like to welcome everyone here to the 1990 football season banquet. I think we'd all have to agree that the new setting and the terrific preparation that the banquet committee has provided has turned out tremendously, and I think all of the banquet committee at this time should rise and take a nice round of applause from everybody here. In particular, I would like to thank Laura Bassista, Marilyn Joseph, and Mickey Ryan, who I understand provided the leadership for this terrific committee, and again, thanks for a job well done. I want to get the program underway. We have quite a lot of awards to present and comments to be made and people to be recognized, and I ask at the outset that you bear with us. Moments for you will be more interesting individually than others, but everyone here who is recognized deserves to be recognized for the work that they provided throughout the season, and we don't want to shortchange anyone or leave any part of the season unnoticed that we don't want to forget. It truly was a terrific season. I know as we entered that 10th week, as a member of the staff and as a former player here at Boardman, I was nostalgic about the whole history and the possible historic importance of that last game, the significance of it, because there had never been, to my knowledge, a 10-0 football team in the history of Boardman High School during the regular season. And I know I was a pain in the neck to the coaches and some of the players all week, because I really got caught up in that idea that and I even said to the seniors that had we won that 10th game and gone 10-0, we would just about unanimously have to be claimed the greatest team in Boardman football history. Well, we all know how that turned out, and of course none of us is happy about it, but I don't think there's any question in anyone's mind in this room, or anyone who has followed Boardman football for any length of time, that this is truly one of the best teams that has ever put on the maroon and white. Well, I guess they threw a little black in there too. I know for me personally, this is a very gratifying season. The last 2 years, Bill has mentioned before publicly that he has rejuvenated my own personal coaching career by allowing me to coach a quarterback and be a part of an offense where they actually put the ball in the air a few times a night. I got to say, I'm a little concerned about next year with John Ryan graduating, just what I'm going to be doing. I hope Bill has some plans for me to clean up the locker room and straighten out some of the equipment, because if he has his way, I think we all know what might conceivably happen. But seriously, I think he enjoyed the kind of offense we evolved into as much as anyone else, as surprised as that may be. And I look forward to helping him out any way I can all the way down the road. There are many people out here in the audience tonight, before we get underway, that I would like to recognize who, either behind the scenes and sometimes very much in front of the scenes, play a part in our program. Many of them are listed in your program, some of them are not. Let me begin by introducing members of our Board of Education. These people I recognize as being present tonight. Bob Wright, you'll stand up and be recognized, Mr. Wright. Elaine Mancini, Larry Springer, and this year's board president, Bill Light. Appreciate your coming. Our superintendent, Mr. Richard Selby, is present. Our assistant superintendent, Mr. John Haar, longtime board member, is here. Our high school principal, Mr. Robert Backlab. Center Middle School principal, and my former 8th grade football coach, longtime friend, Ed Lugabell. Our athletic director, Al Burns. At the head table is a distinguished guest and a relatively new addition to our football family, our team doctor, Jim Botsko, and his wife, Terry. Jim played one of the support roles, as you would be well aware, but he played a more active role in the St. Francis game that some of you probably don't know about. Their quarterback was injured playing defense on a particular tackle, and Jim went over and examined his eyes, and the one eye was kind of blurry, and Jim's recommendation was that the kid not play the rest of the game, that he get this eye checked out. Well, the coach and I guess the boys' parents were there, and they were concerned about his having the ability to play and contribute to the game and all of that. And they looked at Jim and he said, as his doctor, I recommend that he not play the game. And that was that. The kid did not play the rest of the game, and whatever part that played in our victory, we'll never know. But we appreciated the help by Jim. Our team dentist, Bob Johnson, was unable to make it tonight. Also at the head table is our head trainer, Larry Davis, and his wife, Ann. His assistant is also present, who helps with the varsity when he can, and at the middle school level, Mike Keneally. Our girls boosters advisors, faculty advisors, were unavailable tonight, but they are Cindy Lasky and Diane Goski. Do a great job. Also, our illustrious and rotund team photographer, Don DiLorenzo, is unable to make it tonight. But our Steel Valley Commissioner, Cecil Duffett, is here. Mr. Duffett. Our esteemed statistician and Toastmaster General Jim Fox is involved in an alumni function at Mount Union College and was unable to be here tonight also. But also at the head table is our team chaplain, Reverend Bob Stopper. Our PA announcers at the Friday night games are here, and longtime Boardman boosters, Ken Wilson and George Economist. At this time also, I would like to thank and officially recognize the ball boys, a sort of amorphous group that we see before the games get larger and larger and sometimes shrink, but sometimes get larger and larger, but we need them, and they do a great job. The boys that we want to recognize tonight are Matt Diffley, Greg Giannis, Chris Lasivita, Dave McElhaney, Danny Naughton, and Jeff Ryan. At this time, before we introduce some of the cheerleaders and our seniors and junior varsity members, I'd like to introduce one of our senior players who, along with some of his friends, has put together a highlight film that we think everyone will enjoy and will put a lot about the season in a very emotional perspective. And that's senior Leon Marucci.
Ago, I got a call from Mr. Ryan, and he asked me if I could get a tape together to show the Banquet, and so me and Jeff Madison got together the last 2 nights and we put together a highlight tape. And I tried my best to get everybody involved, all the good plays of the season. And so this is the 1990 Spartans, a year to remember.
Would that be
Well, we'll proceed without the additional lighting. I really think that the tape puts the whole season in a lot of perspective, so thank you. Good night, everybody. Lost my head. We will proceed with the program, and first on our list tonight to award its members is our cheerleading staff. And once again, let me introduce our cheerleading advisors. This is Beverly Olson and Bobby Baghurst.
That was very well done, and I'll tell you, you made a very enjoyable fall for all of us here. I want to welcome family and friends, these fine athletes who we have gathered to honor here tonight. None of these performers sit in front of me this evening without years of time, effort, and tears behind them. Take all of that away, and there still would be nothing without the determination instilled in them by the guidance and love of their families. So tonight we honor them. And they also share that honor with you, their parents and family. Nowadays, the hard work starts earlier and earlier, as testified by the Little Spartans Award that will be given tonight. Their perseverance and grit shows through, so each year's records are broken, and athletes excel to heights higher and higher. That, I would say, typifies squad of cheerleaders that I have been blessed and fortunate to work with this year. This past summer, while the football players were hard at work, so were we. The varsity squad received superior rankings at cheerleading camp and competition at Ohio State University. And for the first time in my 10 years of coaching, and the first time that I know of, a Boardman High School cheerleader was nominated All-American, our very own Tracy Tesla. But this isn't all we do. Figure 6 girls on a squad making and delivering cakes to every senior player, plus decorating pillowcases for each along the way, additional spirit treats throughout the season, besides preparing the hoops to be torn apart every week as the team takes the field. And now as the football season winds down, we gear up for basketball season. And so when you watch the cheerleaders on the field, please also remember all they do behind the scenes in an effort to cheer all of our teams on to a victorious season. I would be remiss if I didn't thank my assistant coaches who make my job easier. Mrs. Gail Walsh, the freshman coach, and Mrs. Bobby Backers, the JV coach. Introducing the JV squad will be Mrs. Backers.
Thank you, Ms. Olson. It is my pleasure to introduce Boardman High's JV cheerleading squad. We have Kate Bartell, Jennifer Thomas, Tracy Harmon, Stacy Hoover, Henry Kay, Tiffany Clavin, and Eric Stolzen. These girls have done an outstanding job, and I'd like to take an extra moment to recognize my co-captains. They are Stacy Hoover and Erica Stahlsmith. These girls do an outstanding job and show leadership qualities. And they take their job very seriously. And I want to thank them here and now for a job well done. Thank you.
Before I introduce the varsity cheerleading squad, I would like to introduce that spark on the sidelines, whom you have all enjoyed this past season. The face behind the mask, our very... Our varsity squad this year consists of Gina Gabriel, our junior, this year, Nikki Costello, my right hand, senior captain, Allison Vaudella. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much.
On behalf of the varsity cheerleaders, we would like to present Ms. Olson with this gift. Thank you.
JV cheerleaders would like to present Mrs. Baggers with this gift to thank her for her hard work and time.
Thanks, Bev, Bobby. At this time, I'd like to introduce in Bill's place tonight our defensive coordinator, Roger Patterson. We're all sad, of course, that Bill is unable to make it tonight. I'm particularly sad because Bill's so much fun to make fun of. And Roger's a more difficult case. And trying to think of something clever to say before I introduced him. And the only thing that popped into my mind was that there's a dark side to Roger Patterson that many of you probably in the community don't know. And I thought I would reveal this tonight, given this opportunity. No, I'm just kidding. Roger is a very patient, conscientious, hardworking, diligent coach and teacher, as most of you do know. But in spite of that, or maybe even because of that, when Roger gets angry, as many of the players in front of you will attest. And it's usually maybe 3-4 times a year that he really loses his cool on some particular point of strategy or during a certain practice. And I always get a kick out of that because his voice gets very loud, and on that field that we practice on, which is pretty wide, it's sort of like those old E.F. Hutton commercials. I mean, people just stop in their tracks, cars stop, buses collide, and they just turn their heads to see who's making all that noise. Well, it's Roger Patterson, and he's doing his job. But really, he's a great guy. I've worked with Roger for 15 years now as a coach and as a teacher, and you know, there isn't much more that I could say about him except that he's my friend, he's a respected colleague, and in Bill's place, he will make the player presentations. Coach Roger Patterson.
I'd like to thank Jack. That was a lot better than the letter from the Ursuline parent last year. Those of you that happen to be here. It's my pleasure to introduce our coaching staff, starting with the coaches at the lower levels. We're very fortunate that we have coaches in the middle schools and at the freshman level that provide us with young men that have not only discipline but also fine fundamentals. Two of our middle school coaches are here this evening. I'd like Joe DePasqua from Glenwood to stand, please. Tom Draper is still celebrating a 7-0 season at Center Middle this year. Two of our freshman coaches are here this evening. Both of them played for us just a few years ago and provide a lot of enthusiasm to the program. The head freshman coach, Tom Velasquez. And one of his assistants, Marty Madison. One of the real strengths of our program is the fact that we've been able to keep a staff that has a lot of experience and just real quality people working with your sons. Great group to work with, and I can tell you that I'd be very happy to have any child of mine working with these young men. Jeff McElhaney, he's unable to be here because of an officiating commitment. You've already met Jack Hay, but I'd like to have he and his wife Shar stand. I don't know if there's anybody in Ohio that's had the opportunity to coach two All-Ohio quarterbacks, which has happened in the last, 10 years, I think. That's pretty remarkable. Coach Paul Rice and his wife Diane. Paul is our offensive and defensive tackle coach, and it's just kind of a standing joke with the whole staff that just keeps rolling them through. Year in, year out, we have Allsfield Valley and just all-state type people playing at those positions. He does a great job. Dan Planning. It's amazing the things that he does for the program. He's coordinator of pep rallies, also weight room supervisor, and does a great job with the nose men and the centers. next two individuals I personally owe a debt to, because some of you may be aware of it, a lot of you probably aren't. At the end of last season, we decided to completely revamp our secondary. And at about this time last year, we started talking about it and just did a whole lot of work putting it together. And it's really pretty amazing that we were able to get the package put together and play with the kind of consistency that we were this year. It's a tribute to both of these men. First of all, Dave Pavlansky and his wife, Kathy. And Ron and Bonnie Stoops. Ron coaches our safeties and our wingbacks. And I'd also like to take this opportunity to introduce my wife, Karen, who, like all of the other wives up here, just puts up with a whole lot. At this time, I'd like to turn the mic over to Dan, who will introduce our sophomore and JV players. Great season for both our sophomores and our JVs. He'll recap that a little bit.
Two real nice seasons. The JVs played, it was scheduled 8 games, but South canceled, and sophomores played, not used to Mike. Sophomores played 6 games. They're 2 separate schedules. Sophomores usually play on Saturday morning, and the JVs usually play on Monday. It's really unique the way the sophomores JV programs work at Boardman. There's no practice time. It's really just kind of go out and play. You try to put plays in on the bus. And a real nice thing about both games, about both programs, is you got 4 wins in the sophomore games and a 6-0-1 season in the JV games. And it's really an indication of just good, tough football kids. They play good football. And a couple of years ahead in Boardman football, I don't think you're going to see the ball in the air. Jack's going to go back and clean in the locker room. It's no indication of the quarterbacks. We've got great quarterbacks. It's Bill. Bill spent a real tough 15 weeks and a couple tough years, and he loved going to JV games because in sophomore games he didn't see a whole lot of passing, and that's just because of the skill we've got in the backfield, and that skill will be on the varsity field next year. And both of them do a real nice job. We've got a lot of skill, and going to be a lot of W's in Boardman in the next couple of years, no doubt about that. It's not their night, so we don't give these kids a lot of recognition, but they do deserve it. They put in all the work. You've got all the scout team. These are the guys that get the heck beat out of them all the time. And believe me, if you want to look up and see what they go through, this table with these guys dressed up like this, they're not a good crew. They're a pretty rough crew to play with on the field. So these guys put in a lot of time. They deserve a lot of credit, but they don't get it tonight. They got to wait a little bit. What I'll do is I'll introduce them by class first. These are all juniors. And there's no order, just they're alphabetically, as a matter of fact. Brad Blackburn, just stand up. Hold your applause until there's too many of them. You guys, you'll be beat up and tired by the time you're done. So just hold your applause, and we'll clap after the claps. It's Brad Blackburn, Phil Butto. Stay standing, guys. Bob Dugan, Greg Daly, John Grazier, Jim Gruber, Jason Kavaris, John Lewis, Mike Mascarella, Brian O'Neill, Steve Paula, John Pavel, Eric Shea, Bill Sikora, Chris Spinn, John Stoliano, Dave Swader, Mike Byers, Joe Voitko, Brian Weibling, Scott Weibling. Great story there. Mr. Bourne, since he's here, I can give him a little bit because he abuses me to death when he's at this mic, so I get my chance at him. He has trouble remembering things once in a while. So being a young guy on the staff, I try to remind him that, and he can't remember their names for nothing. So what we did was we made a deal. Since Brian begins with the B and S begins with an S, and one's big and one's small, we call him Big Weibling and Small Weibling, and he'd always remember their names. So, but don't say anything about it, the bad memory. We'll forget that. Chris Yoswick and Joe Zub. There are more juniors, but those kids will receive varsity awards. Great class. Great class. Another great class. These guys are all sophomores. Make sure you stay standing. Bob Beam, Pat Bresnahan, John Carney, Neil Carlson, Dan Shemita, Jason Chickalo, Harmon DeServo, Eric Fauble, Jeff Francisco, Brian Galetka, Joe Ignazio, Tony Jesko, Sean Kushma, Jason Lasivita, John Lawson, Joe Masiak, Keith McGarry. We have Doug McKay. He's also on the team, but he couldn't make it because of an illness. Pete Pondillo, Dave Profusik, Mike Solly, Bernie Schrey, Tim Smith, Matt Springer, John Sylvester, Doug Wolf, and Brian Williams. Believe me, between the two of those classes right there, got a great future at Boardman High School.
It's a pleasure for me to be able to introduce the letterman for the 1990 Boardman Spartans. You've seen the tape, you're aware of their accomplishments. I don't think there are people anywhere in the country that could have been treated to the brand of football you were during the last half of the season. You know, the competition, we looked ahead at the schedule and you have to go one at a time. But all the time in the back of your mind, you're thinking you've got Mooney in the 6th game, followed by all 4 teams that beat us the year before. And it's a tribute to these young men that they got ready to play and just did an outstanding job. I'd like to start with the underclassmen. We have one sophomore letterman. It doesn't happen too much here anymore with the program coming to the level that it is. This young man did a great job for us. Began starting at week safety, the 3rd week of the season, made a bunch of big plays. Jason Treveri. We have 11 junior lettermen. The first of these is a 2nd-year letterman. Does a great job for us. You saw him on film when Chris Diffley made his catch in the Mooney game. He's our trainer, and looking forward to having him back into the years, Brian Hughes. Ryan Behringer did a great job on special teams and as a tailback this year. Aaron Boyarco. Coach Planning mentioned running backs, and we have a ton of them. Aaron led the team in rushing this year, made several big plays that I'm sure you all remember. Linebacker Steve Toka. Special teams player, plays with a lot of intensity. Defensive end Nick Cola. Nick started the last couple games for us, and you hate to see that happen with the injuries, but it's nice to know we have somebody coming back that we can count on there. Did a great job. Nick Limbert, strong safety. Fits into the same category as Nick. He began starting in the Steubenville game and just an outstanding football player. Dan Matthews. Dan's another tailback, big play type player, did a great job during the year. Jay Miracle. Outstanding linebacker. The only reason he and Steve both didn't play more this year is because they had 2 great linebackers in front of them. We look forward to coaching him another year. Junior noseman Frank Pachera. fits into the mode of his predecessor here. He's about the same size and very similar type player. Going to do a nice job next year. Eric Poplar. Junior safety and wingback. Did a nice job on special teams. Another of our junior lettermen. And Jim Roscoe. Jim's a junior tight end, special team player, and we look forward to seeing Jim on the football field in another year. This junior class, like Coach Palandi said, is a great group that not too many of you know about because they happen to be playing behind a great class, and a lot of them just didn't get a chance to play on Friday nights, but play great defense in the JV games, and we're really looking forward to them next year. It's really a shame that Bill isn't here to introduce his senior class because I know he justifiably takes a great deal of pride in them. I remember them particularly as sophomores when the first day we hit in practice, the varsity had trouble moving the ball against them, and I remember Coach Boardman going over and saying, "You're the next state championship team." Well, they didn't quite accomplish that, but they did accomplish a heck of a lot. And just a great deal of pride that I introduced these young men. They played with class throughout the year, played with a great deal of intensity, and keep in mind the schedule that they played. First of all, the first senior letterman is a second-year letterman, trainer Michelle Sohanen. We'll try to keep this moving. They're going to come across the front, and first young man is a captain. You're going to see him up here a couple more times as the night goes on. 2-year starter at cornerback, 2-year All-Steel Valley performer, Tom Basista. One of the great things about this class, there are 27 of them, and obviously 27 people can't play at the same time. We had a bunch of people, you know, looking into the head of the year. We knew we had people back that performed last year. We thought we had the potential to be good. Coach Bourne will tell you every year, next year's a state championship team. You know, that's the way he is, and I think that's one of the reasons that we're the caliber of program we are. But in the back of your mind, you kind of wonder what's going to happen, because obviously the year before we lost all of our receivers, we lost most of our defensive front. There are people you hope can play, but you aren't really sure. And this is a remarkable group because everyone fulfilled the expectations that we had for them. There are a number of people that didn't play a whole lot that would have played a lot more other years, but none of them grumbled. They accepted their lot. They practiced every day and did a great job. A couple of these are linemen that, you know, they both missed a year of football, and if they hadn't, they would have been great football players this year. Really came on toward the end of the year. Steve Betos, offensive and defensive tackle. Another second-year letterman, defensive tackle, offensive guard, just very consistent player. Great job all year, Joe Boris. Another 2-year letterman, one of those receivers we were talking about that you know, big play after big play. You remember him for the Steubenville game, among others. Also a great player in the secondary for us, Jeff Brinley. One of those role players we were talking about, Ken Kristoff, kind of got caught in the transition of our defense, going from playing defensive end to outside linebacker. No one practiced any harder than Ken. He did a great job on specialty teams for us, Ken Kristoff. First-year letterman, one of the question marks that came through, blocked consistently all year, Chuck Palucci. None of our two-way starters, there aren't many of them, but he did a fine job all year, suffered an injury in the Steubenville game, but just a leader for us in a quiet sort of way. Nice to have somebody in the secondary that you can count on, to know what was going on all the time, and really did a great job for us, strong safety, and as a wide receiver, Chris Dipple. Another 2-year letterman, You know, you look at him and you'd say there's no way that individual can play nose man in the Steel Valley Conference, but he did a great job at it, week in, week out, just played with tremendous desire. Has to be an inspiration for a lot of the younger guys. Bill Economist. Two-year letterman, two-year starter at offensive guard. Got better and better as the year went on. Probably his greatest game was against Mooney, Jim Hush. Another two-year starter. I don't know if there's a better blocking tight end around. Played with a lot of adversity in the way of injuries throughout the year. Great leader for us as a captain, Joe Joseph. And an outstanding pair of linebackers this year. Over the years, we've had a number of great pairs. I don't think any pair that we've had has been better. The first of these is he started about the last 2 or 3 games last year, second on the team in tackles this year. Led the linebacker 4 interceptions, Rich Katsaris. One of the people that made a position move for us, going from defensive tackle to a defensive end. You're all aware of the impact player that he is. You saw the big hits in the film. Outstanding defensive end, Tony Nez. Another of the people that needs to be an inspiration to our younger players. If you timed him or if you weighed him, you'd say there's no way that Dale Cushman can play Steel Valley football as a fullback. He just doesn't seem to fit that mold. But you aren't going to find anybody that blocks any better than Dale on a Friday night. Great job for us for 2 years. Really in key situations. Another of those linemen that missed a year of football, and I told him at the end of the year, it's really a shame that we can't redshirt because we could sure use him another year. But I think if you ask especially our guards, or anybody that hit any harder than what Kevin Lasivita did. First year. Two-year letterman, this is his first year as a starter. Coach Blaney said he's the best center that he's coached at Boardman, and I think that's true. Lance Leonard. Next individual looks like he should go into film production. He's one of many talents, just a great individual to have around. He's a leader on the field, big play specialist. I don't know of a bigger play or more guts than his score against Steubenville. Leon Marucci. Another of Coach Rice's tackles. One of the question marks coming in, but solid job throughout the year, Jeff Madison. Next individual came out for football for the first time. Wide receiver, always counted on in practice. Can't remember his nickname anymore. Squeegee. Squeegee, yeah. Squeegee McCurry, Ed McCurry. Another question mark. We knew a year ago that he was big enough to play. He impressed us tremendously during the off-season with his effort. Developed tremendous speed and played with a lot of intensity during the year at a defensive tackle. Became the team philosopher. And it was a real pleasure to work with Ryan the Spec. Another individual that changed positions. We asked him to move out of the secondary and move up to a defensive front position. It's not an easy transition to make. Played a lot of desire all year. Doesn't remember playing the second half of the Ursuline game, but played a great game. Found out the following day he had a concussion. Kyle Nerman. Another of just a tremendous group of receivers. We mentioned they were all gone a year ago and didn't know where we were going to find people to catch the football. All of you will remember Sean O'Neill for his catches over the middle. Became an outstanding receiver. Sean O'Neill. First time. another of those receivers. You'll probably remember his best for his catches in the Warren Harding game. Real exciting player, knew what to do with the ball after he got a hold of it. Dave Roncone, second letter. Next individual played with just tremendous pressure all year long and did a great job for us. You're all aware of it. All Steel Valley, all Ohio, all Northeast Ohio, and deserves all of those accolades, John Ryan. Another member of our receiving corps, first-year letterman, also the person that did the articles on the games for the Boardman leaders. Andy is a person that can always be counted on, Andy Schmutz. Next person came out for football for the first time last year and promptly injured himself in a monkey roll, which is pretty difficult to do. At that point, up until that had happened, I saw some ability in him, but we really didn't know coming into this year. Another of those people that just stepped forward and got the job done. Leader on the offensive line, Bob Stackhouse. Defensive tackle that probably would have started for us a lot of years, but happened to be playing behind a couple people that did a great job. Did a great job for us on a goal line defense. In fact, after the Ursuline game, the week before the following game, he said, "Coach, are we planning to use that goal line defense a lot again?" So I hope not, but Jim was kind of hoping we were, I think, because it gave him a chance to play. Jim Bavacqua. It's appropriate that our last senior is our only three-year letterman this year. Great football player, led the team in tackles. I think he had 25 or 30 more tackles than the person that came in second. Heads-up football player, tackle as well as anybody on the team. Well, enjoy the limelight here for a minute. Just tremendous job for us all here, Troy Wilson. This time I'd like to recognize the captains from this senior group. Captains are voted on by their teammates. An outstanding group of captains this year. Each of them receives a plaque. The three captains of the 1990 football team, Tom Basista, Joe Joseph, and John Ryan. This also seems like an appropriate time to announce the captains of the 1991 team. Again, it's a well-deserved honor for these young men. They are voted on by their teammates. I'm confident they're all going to do a great job. They have a tough act to follow. Three captains for 1991, if they would stand. Steve Coca. Nick Lumber. And Dan Matthews. Back over to Coach A.
Thanks, Roger. Before we begin to make the special awards, I want to make one announcement. All special award winners should come to the front table at the conclusion of the banquet for a picture for the Boardman leader. I don't want to forget that, and I'll try to remind you at the end of the program. At this time, I would like to introduce the president and vice president of our Girls Booster organization, which does a lot of activities for us throughout the season, and I think it culminates in their collection of material for a scrapbook for each of the seniors. This year's president is Tammy Pipoli, and vice president Chris Metzga. Will you please come forward?
all the events that we did throughout the season for them. We enjoyed painting signs and decorating for you guys every week. We hope that the seniors like the different things we did this year with the pumpkins and the carnation, and we know that how much you love us for the toilet paper you had to clean up after the nights that we did that. We had a lot of fun, and we hope you enjoyed everything. I would also like to thank our advisors, Mrs. Lasky and Mrs. Lasky, who are not here with us tonight. And I'd like to say special thanks to Mr. Planning for all his extra help that he did. I guess now we can go on to the presentation of the scrapbooks, if all the boosters would bring them up and stand behind your guys. Started it all off, we had Gina Gabriel presenting her scrapbook to Tawny the sister. Chris Smith did Steve Bates' scrapbook. We have our homecoming queen, Tracy Testa, presenting to our homecoming king, Joe Boris. Did Jeff Brinley's scrapbook, Jeffy and Dib. Nikki Costello presenting her scrapbook to Ken Kristoff. Michelle Kennedy presenting her scrapbook to Chuck Litchi. Carrie Ferguson presenting scrapbook to Chris Stifley. Christine Meska presenting her scrapbook to Billy Conomus. Joy Zarlinga presenting her scrapbook to Jim Hutch. Sherry Babiak presenting scrapbook to Joe Joseph. Liz Gray presenting her scrapbook to Rich Katsaris. Did Tony Nez's scrapbook. Chris Hoffman worked on Dale Cushman's scrapbook, but it's being presented tonight by Holly Morgan. Katie Flair presenting her scrapbook to Kevin Lasimodoff. Lori Hammock presenting her scrapbook to Lance Leonard.
Jen Sinceri, you must be doing something right because Leon always said he'd never have a girlfriend and it's been an awfully long time.
Liz Fleming presenting her scrapbook to Jeff Matisick, and they're the great couple that never went out on a date.
Michelle Sulhanik presenting Ed McMurray's scrapbook.
Michelle Jimenez presenting her scrapbook to Ryan Desbecca.
Sue Fabrizio presenting her scrapbook to Kyle Norman. They're another married couple.
Lori Gabriel worked on Sean O'Neill's scrapbook, but she's not able to be here tonight, so Allison Baldelli is presenting it to Sean O'Neill.
Jen Clark and Amy Rodenbaugh were both worked together on Dave Roncones, and Jen's going to present that to him tonight.
Carrie Banquet, also known as Princess, is presenting her scrapbook to John Ryan. Julie West presenting her scrapbook to Andy Schmutz. Tracy Fiziel presenting her scrapbook to Bob Stackhouse. Carrie Carson Kavinsky presenting her scrapbook to Himbo Vavakwa. I decided to save the best for last, and I'm presenting my scrapbook to Troy Wilson. Once again, we'd like to thank all the parents for cleaning up the toilet paper, the moms who gave us everything for the scrapbooks, and also the money that the moms gave us for toilet paper. We'd like to thank the coaches also for letting us decorate the locker rooms and provide yet little extra things for our football players. We'd like to thank all the football players for doing so good this year, and we hope that we helped to make your senior year one of the best seasons you've ever played. Thank you.
Assignments, the Soap Opera Digest must have a wide circulation among our senior girls. Thank you very much. At this time, as we believe it or not, wind down in the program, there are several very special awards that we would like to make. The first is an award sponsored by the Little Spartan organization in commemoration of one of their former players, Bob McMurtry. Is Mike Marakovich here? Okay, at this point, I will ask Coach Patterson to make the Bob McMurtry Award presentation.
The Bob McMurtry Award is an award presented by the Little Spartans. Annually it goes to that former Little Spartan who they feel has been the outstanding performer on the varsity football team. This year the award goes to Troy Wilson.
Our Scholar Athlete Award this year will be presented once again by our high school principal, Mr. Robert Backlatt.
It certainly is an honor and privilege for me to be able to present this Scholar Athlete Award. Of the 27 young men sitting before you, I had a chance to look at all of their grade point averages. I will have that opportunity again come June probably. Of the 27 sitting before you, 8 of them had a grade point average of 3 point or better, which I think we should be very, very proud of. The young man that, thank you. The young man that is the recipient of the Scholar Athlete Award this year came to the Boardman schools from the Youngstown system from Harding Elementary School. Moved into Boardman Center Middle School, and then eventually came to the 9th grade of the high school. Upon getting at the 9th grade of the high school, we discovered very quickly that the young man had great talent. He immediately got involved in the art club, signed up for German 1, joined the art club, joined the German club, right now is in German 4, was in German 1, 2, 3, and 4, honored English classes, honored English 3, honored English 4, has aspirations of going on to Ohio State, possibly coming the month of September. He graduates, if he stays where he is now, 13th in the class of 412. He has maintained a grade point average of 3.77. 3.77. This young man, this year's recipient, is Christopher Diffley.
introduce Coach Patterson again to award the Spirit and Pride Award and our Outstanding Player Awards for the 1990 season.
Prior to those awards, we have the opportunity this year to present plaques to people who were named to the All-Steel Valley Conference team. This is the first year that that team has been announced prior to the banquet. It's a tremendous honor to be a part of this team. I think you're probably aware that if we include Warren Harding, the Steel Valley this year had a 39-1 record against outside opponents, and that's phenomenal. Tremendous number of great football players. The team is voted on by the head coaches. No head coach can vote for his own players, and definitely is a competitive thing. First, I'd like to ask the people that made the second team All-Steel Valley to stand. It'll be Joe Boris at the defensive tackle, Aaron Boyerko at running back, Jeff Grimley in secondary, and Jason Cerveri in secondary. Thank you. The people who were named to the All-Steel Valley team for 1990, Tom Basista, defensive back, second year on the team. Jim Hutch, offensive guard. Tony Nez, defensive end. Lance Leonard, center. Leon Malucci, receiver. Jeff Matazik, offensive tackle. John Ryan, quarterback. And Troy Wilson, linebacker. I think we had several other individuals who were worthy of the honor, and had we won the last football game, I think we would have had a few more people on the team. But tremendous honor for those who were named. The Spirit and Pride Award is an award that is voted on by the team. It goes to that individual who their teammates feel best exemplify the desire of a Spartan football player. It's a great honor to introduce Ken Kristoff, this year's Last year we introduced a defensive award system based on a system that Coach Jim Young has used at Purdue and at Army. In this system, players can gain entrance into what we call the Black Watch in several different ways. First is by passing certain requirements pre-season, and then by outstanding performance during two-a-day practices, you can get into the group. Throughout the year, each week, people are evaluated and either remain in the Black Watch or come off the Black Watch. Gives a total of 12 weeks that people can belong to this group. Anyone that is a member 9 of the 12 weeks becomes a permanent member of the Black Watch, and their names will be posted in the locker room permanently. Last year, only one person achieved that honor, and that was Greg Sutton. It's a measure of how well our defense performed that we had Jason Sutton, I'm sorry, 2 years ago. It's a measure of the strength of our defense that eight young men made the Black Watch this year. A couple of others would have made it other than the fact that they had injuries. The 8 this year are Tom Basista. During the year, they have a special jersey that they wear in practice, and their name goes up on a board. For being in for the season, they receive a plaque. Joe Boris. Jeff Grimley. Bill Economist. Rich Katsaras. Tony Nez. Ryan Mustafa. Troy Wilson. to miss that whole crew. They did an outstanding job throughout the year. The remaining awards that we have to give are probably the four most prestigious awards. Again, they are voted on by the members of the team. These are the MVP awards. This year's Outstanding Offensive Lineman is voted on by his teammates, Jim Hutch. The Offensive Back Award goes to John Ryan. Defensive Lineman Award, Tony Nez. And Defensive Back Award, Jeff Brinley. All right, table clean down there?
Yep.
I think that's it, thank you.
At this time, we would like to recognize some special groups in the community who support our program. Obviously, all of you are outstanding and visible supporters of our 1990 program, but throughout the years, several groups in the Boardman community are there through thick and thin, and we always like to recognize them at the banquet. There are representatives of these groups here present tonight. If they would stand, we would like to recognize them with a round of applause. The Boardman Booster Club, the Boardman Kiwanis Club, the Boardman Lions, the Boardman Rotary, our high school athletic department, and the Boardman Gridiron Club. If officers, representatives would please stand, we would appreciate it. I understand that at this point Joe Joseph wants to take the roster. Joe?
On behalf of the 1990 Boardman Spartans, I would like to thank the coaching staff and present each of the coaches with a gift. Throughout the years that we've been at Boardman and played football, the coaching staff has been really great to us. They've done a lot of things for us on the field and off the field, and we really appreciate the time that they put into the program and all the things that they've done for us. I think sometimes the coaching staff doesn't really get the credit that they deserve, because when we win, the players get the credit, and when we lose, coaches sometimes get blamed because they did something wrong. But I think these coaches are the best coaches in Ohio, and I don't think you'll find a better coaching staff anywhere, and I really think that they deserve a lot of credit. So I just will name the coaches, and John and Tom will give them their gifts. First of all, Mr. Hay. Mr. Flynn. Mr. Patterson. Mr. Pavolansky. Mr. McElhaney, who isn't here tonight, and of course, Coach Bourne. I would also like to thank the trainers and present them with gifts, because they're the ones that really help us out a lot when we're hurt, and they tape everybody up before the practices and before the games, and they kind of do what we say and just they're kind of the ones who take care of us. So I'd like to thank Mr. Davis. And I'd also like to thank our team doctor, Dr. Bosco. Dennis, Mr. John, or Dr. Johnson. And also I'd like to thank our team reverend who would say a prayer for us, and before the games would always give us a little talk and kind of get us psyched up. Reverend Stoffer.
I'd also like to thank the announcers this year, Mr. Wilson and Mr. Economist. And I'd also like to thank Mr. DiLorenzo and Mr. Cahoot, who are unable to be here. They tape the game. Mr. DiLorenzo films the games that we watch every Saturday and does a pretty good job because every time we screw up, every coach notices it, and we kind of got to get yelled at in front of everybody. And Mr. Cahoot films the tape that a lot of us get off him, and we really appreciate that. Thanks a lot. Well, we have finally reached that point, and I'm somewhat reluctant to close, incredibly enough, because there are so many people that we really are grateful to. It would be very difficult, obviously, to name all of them, but we think of you, and we are grateful for all the contributions that people make. There is a list at the end of your program of people who have made contributions contributing to the banquet. I'm sure that is the tip of the iceberg of people in the Boardman community who support our program and make our schools and our athletic department what it is today. Again, we can't thank you enough, and we just hope we can keep doing the job for you and helping the young people that you bring to us year in and year out, and making the Boardman people in the Boardman community as proud as we possibly can. One final announcement to all those special award winners. Please come up to the front table at the end of the festivities for a photograph for the press. And at this time, I'm proud and pleased to introduce John Ryan to you, who will give the benediction. Please join me in a moment of reflection. Dear Lord, thank you for the opportunity you've given us this past season. Together we've won and shared the joy of celebration, and we've lost and dealt with the lonely hurt of defeat. Yet we know we must look ahead. Thank you for the memories that will always be a part of us as we move on to our futures. Amen. Thank you again, everybody. Good night, please. Drive home carefully.